In this demonstration, I will provision an Azure storage account in my Azure subscription, and I will explore the various ways by which we can store data in Azure storage. The first step in using Azure storage is to provision an Azure storage account in Azure subscription, and that is exactly what I'm about to do. So I will come to the search box and I will look for storage. So I will now select this storage account. Now in the storage account, I'll click create. This will give me the opportunity to be able to create an instance of a storage account. So for the subscription, I'm going to leave it this way. For the resource group, I'm going to click this link, create new, and I will type RG1. It simply means that RG1 is going to be the name of the resource group. I will move to the instance details section where I will need to configure storage account name, region, performance, and redundancy. Now I will put my cursor here. What is it saying? It says that the name must be unique across all existing storage account names in Azure. It must be 3 to 24 characters long and can contain only lowercase letters and numbers. So for the storage account name, I'll call it storage 1759. So it's going to search and confirm if it is available. Look at what it's saying. Is already taken. Let me add account to it. Storage 1759 account. And it's okay now. Then I'll come to the region. For the region, I'm going to leave it this way, East US. And for the performance, I'll leave it this way, standard. For the redundancy, I will select this drop down and I will select locally redundant storage. Then I'll move to the advanced section where I'm not going to check anything, but I just want you to take note of certain important information. For example, there is enable hierarchical namespace. So hierarchical namespace complemented by data lake storage gen 2 endpoint enables files and directory semantic, accelerate big data analytics workload, and enable access control list. For the access tier, we have hot, cool, cold. And the fourth one is actually archive, but you cannot select archive at the point where you are creating the storage account. So how will you know which one to select? For the hot, is optimized for frequently accessed data and everyday usage scenario. Actually, is for data that will be accessed or frequently accessed within 30 days. Now, anything above 30 days or between 30 and 90 days is cool, while anything between 90 to 180 days is cold. As you can see, cool is saying optimized for infrequently accessed data and backup scenario, and the code is saying optimized for rarely accessed data and backup scenario. So once again, this is between 90 to 180 days, this is between 30 to 90 days, and this is less than 30 days. Now move to the networking tab. In the networking tab, under the network connectivity, it says that I can connect to storage account either publicly via public IP address or service endpoint, or privately using the private endpoint. So there are three network access here. We have enable public access from all network, enable public access from selected virtual networks and IP addresses, and disable public access and use private access. Now, what does it mean if I select this? It simply means that all devices, all IP addresses who have the URL or the endpoint address of these storage accounts can access the storage accounts, which is not good in a real life situation. If you look at this information, it says enabling public access from all networks might make this resource available publicly. Now, unless public access is required, we recommend using a more restricted access. So, for a more restricted access, you can use enable public access from selected virtual networks and IP addresses. So if I select this option now, I'll be able to select the IP addresses that I want to allow. It simply means that it is those IP addresses that can access the storage account. And if I add a virtual network, it simply means that any other services attached or connected to that virtual network will be the one to be able to access the storage account. For example, if I connect a VM into this virtual network, I can access the storage account through that VM. I'll move to the data protection tab where you will take note of recovery options there. So it's for data protection. So you can protect your data from accidental or erroneous deletion or modification when you enable point in time restore for containers, soft delete for blobs, soft delete for containers, soft delete for files. And you take note that for the ones that are checked by default, it is what 7 days by default. You can expand it. It depends on how much or how many days do you want. So it simply means that if somebody mistakenly deletes any data, because soft delete is enabled for the blob, if the data is blob, you can go there and restore it within these 7 days, as long as it's still within what the 7 days. Now I'm going to uncheck each of these checkbox, and I will now click review plus create. It is validating the information that I supplied. As you can see, it's saying validation in progress. So once it's through with the validation, then it will give me this blue button that you are seeing right now. So it simply means that I can now click on this button. So it's initializing the deployment now, and any moment from now, it's going to start submitting the deployment into my Azure. Now the deployment is in progress. So at this point, I'm going to pause this video and I'll be back once the deployment is complete. Now the deployment is complete, so I'll click go to resource. So it will take me to the storage 1759 account. Now that I have an Azure storage account, the next thing that I will do is to create a container for blob data. But before I do that, I'm going to click on this tab and I'm going to look for some blob data like JSON files that I'm going to use to test run the container. So please look for this URL and press enter so that it can show you the JSON file just like what you're seeing now. So I'm going to right click and save it as product one, and it's going to be saved into my document folder. So I'll click save. Now there's another one I'm looking for, that is the product 2. Then I'll press enter and I'm going to right click and also save it. You can see product 2, so I will save. Now that I have the two files that I need to test run the Azure storage account, I will go back now to the portal where I will now go to the left side to select containers under the data storage. So I will click containers. Then I will click new container. So in the new container, I'm going to name it data. And under the anonymous access level, I will leave it this way and I will click create. Now it's creating the storage container. So it's true. It has successfully created the storage container. I will now go to the storage browser. This page provides a browser-based interface that you can use to work with the data in your storage account. So I will click blob containers, and in the blob containers, I will click the container that I created earlier, and that is the data. Now do take note that I can add a directory from here, and I can as well upload files directly. Now what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to click add directory, and I'm going to call this one products. Then I will click OK. Now look at the breadcrumbs. I have what? Blob containers, data, and what? The product. If I go back to the data, normally you're supposed to see the product, right? Because it's a directory under the data, but it's not showing. Why is it not showing? Folders in blob storage are virtual and only exist as part of the blob. So since the product folder contained no blobs, it isn't really there. So what I will do now is I will click on the upload, and I'm going to click browse for files, and I'm going to look for one of the file that I downloaded earlier, that is product1, and I will expand the advanced, and under the product to folder, I'm now going to specify another folder. I'll call it products underscore data. And I'll now click upload. Do you take note now that this is no longer virtual because we have something inside, and that is the product1 file that I uploaded. Do you also take note that if I click this dot here, I'm not going to see any option. Why is this so? Folder in a flat namespace blob container are virtual and it cannot be managed. Now I'll move to the next task, and that is for me to explore Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. Azure Data Lake Gen 2 support enables you to use hierarchical folders to organize and manage access to blobs. It also enables you to use Azure Blob Storage to host distributed file systems for common big data analytics platform. So what I will do is to upgrade this storage account to Data Lake Gen 2. So to do that, I will go to the settings section. Then I will say Data Lake Gen 2 upgrade. So what do I stand to benefit if I upgrade this storage account to Azure Data Lake Gen 2? Now, if you are looking to use your storage account for data analytics and big data storage, then you should consider upgrading to Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2, which will enable hierarchical namespace on the account. So what I want to do now is to upgrade it. So I'm going to follow each of these steps one by one. Step one, step two, and step three. Step one is to review account changes before upgrading. So I'm going to review uh, the account changes agreement. So I'll click the checkbox and I will say agree to changes. Next is to validate accounts before upgrading. So I'll click start validation. So validation for account upgrade is in progress. So this is completed, and the step three is to now start the upgrade. So upgrade is in progress. Now that the upgrade is successful, that is, the upgrade is completed. Now in the left side, in the top section, I'm going to select once again storage browser. So what I want to confirm now is that earlier I uploaded a file into that same storage account. Now that I've upgraded it into data lake, will that data still be there? That is what we're about to confirm. So I'll go to the blob container and I'll click data. That is the container we created earlier. And here's the folder product underscore data. And here's the file product1.json. It simply shows that the files that we uploaded earlier will still be there despite the fact that we upgraded this account to data lake. Now I'm going to upload another file and I'll just click on the upload and I'll click browse for file and I'll go and click the product2. Then I will click upload. So it's uploading that blob into the data. And where is it now? It's inside the product underscore data. So if I go back to this left side now and I select data storage section and I click the containers again, the ideal thing is for me to see these informations. So here is the data, that's the container that I created, and here is the folder or the directory inside that container. And you can see from here too, I can see the two files that I uploaded. So I'll click here. This will take me back to where product underscore data. Then if I click this dot dot dot, do you take note now that I can do it? I can even manage this subfolder here. For example, I can rename, I can even delete, I can generate SAS, I can manage ACL. So I'll click on this storage 1759 account, and this will take me back to what the storage account under the data storage. Now I want to explore Azure Files. Azure Files provides a way to create cloud-based file shares. So in the Azure portal where we are right now, under the data storage, you see this file shares. So I will click file shares, and under the file shares, I'll be able to create a new file share. So I'll click this to create a new file share, and I'm going to name it files. And for the access tier, it's going to be transaction optimized. Then I'll click the next backup, and I will disable the backup. I don't want to enable backup for this file share. Then I will go ahead and click review plus create. Then I will click create. So it's deploying the file share now. Now that I have a new file share called files, I can connect to that file share now. If I just click on this connect, I will have the opportunity to be able to connect to the file share. So this is, for example, where I can generate the script to mount this file share to any virtual machine, for example, or any systems. So what I just want to show you here is for you to know that you can also create files under the same storage account. Just go to this same location, that is the data storage, and you click what? File shares. What about the tables? It's time for us now to explore Azure Tables. Azure Tables provides a key value store for applications that need to store data values but don't need the full functionality and structure of a relational database. So Azure Table is for a structured data but not relational. Relational database are the database like Microsoft SQL Server, MySQL, PostgreSQL, Oracle SQL. Those are relational database, but the table is only for structured data, but that are not relational. So I'll click on the tables. So I'm going to click the table and I'll call it products. Then I'll click OK. So that is going to be the name of a table. And if I go to storage browser now, I can now browse the table. So I'll click on tables. Now this is the table that I just created. So I'm going to select the table. That's the product, and it's giving me what? Partition key, row, and what? Time stamp. Now I will click add entity. And in the partition key, I will type 1 for the value, and for the row key, I will type 1 for the value, and I will click add property. Then I can now create a new property with the following values: name, the type is going to be string, so the value will be widget. I'll click add property again, and this time around it will now be price for the value, and the value or the type will be double, and what the value will be now will be 2.99, for example. And I can now click insert. So it will now begin to add the entity. Now what you notice now is that a role has been added, and take note of the timestamp. That is the time that the rule was added. What rule? We have widgets and at what price? 2.99. So this is how Azure Table is. So on your own, you can continue to add more values. So what I simply did is to manually enter data into the table using storage browser interface. Now, in a real life scenario, application developers can use the Azure Storage Table API to build applications that read and write values to tables. making it a cost-effective and scalable solution for NoSQL storage. Thank you for watching. If you like what you saw, consider subscribing to this channel. Please, let me know what you think in the comment section. And do not forget to leave a like and share this video. See you in the next one.